I'm really interested in, well, in a lot of things. I have a lot of questions. But I'm thinking about the notion of history. You talked about l'histoire and the story, and the sort of misguided idea that history is a set of facts and it's always about the story and who's telling and all the wonderful things you just said. I'm curious now, in our age of alternative facts and sort of really frustrated relationships to a straight narrative. How is that change, or would you refine that differently?
I don't know. I think that Western society as a whole has a somewhat shifty relationship with history, and that there's an unwillingness to recognize the kinds of negotiations and exchanges that occur, I think organically, that occur between fact and information and knowledge and wisdom and reportage and recounting. And each of those kinds of expression is somewhat different than all of the rest, and yet they all work concurrently, I think, if not all of the time, then certainly most of the time. That there's always a kind of running narrative, and that for all intents and purposes, we are continually making history in our telling of things. One of the things that happens, for instance, take something commonplace like going to the doctor with a complaint. You have a health complaint. Each time you see a doctor or a nurse or some sort of technician, these people who are gathering information, taking bodily fluids and so forth, and doing things to you, and they ask you your name and your date of birth and why you're seeing the doctor that day and what you think is going on and so forth. And after a while, initially what happens is you're annoyed and frustrated by having to answer the same questions. And what I've often said is, don't you already have that in my file? It's like, why are you asking me these things? Yes, I'm still allergic to that. But eventually what happens is that without even thinking about it, you form a narrative. And you get relatively comfortable and perhaps even glib reciting it. And it's a way to tell and be disengaged from the entire experience, which is a disorienting experience, going to the doctor, or I guess we could pick something else like being arrested or having your head beaten by a police officer. Equally disorienting experiences, or perhaps more so, depending. But that there are ways of recounting that either distance us from the experience, they make us tangential to the experience, or they can put us completely at the center of the narrative.